Wow, that's salty. Salt has such a distinguishable taste that everyone knows so well and makes its way in almost every dish. But have you actually tasted the compound itself? Why can't you taste the compound? To answer that question, let's talk about solubility.
Solubility is defined as a substance's ability to be dissolved in something to form a solution. A solution is defined as a homogeneous, same throughout, mixture of two or more substances, the solute and the solvent. The solute is the substance being dissolved, and the solvent does the dissolving. Solutions can be made of substances in any state of matter. They can be solid solid, liquid liquid, gas gas, gas solid, gas liquid, and lastly liquid solid, the kind we will focus on today. Since water forms solutions with so many things, it is called the universal solvent. Now let's look at table salt. Also known as sodium chloride, table salt is probably the most iconic ionic bond. Most ionic compounds are soluble in water because they are polar, just like water, meaning the compound does not have a neutral charge throughout. If one was polar and one was nonpolar, it would not form a solution. What's more is that salt dissociates into its two ions, and let's see why. An ionic bond is a physical exchange of electrons, and they do just have a full outer shell of 8 electrons, called valence electrons. Sodium has 1 valence electron, and chlorine has 7, so sodium gives its electron to chlorine, so they both have 8. This is what makes them ions with a charge. Water, the compound H2O, is formed with covalent bonds where they share electrons. Covalent bonds are stronger than ionic bonds, so the water molecules pull the sodium and chlorine compounds apart in solution where the ions are surrounded by water molecules. The sodium ion and chlorine ion are happy this way because they still have their full outer shell of electrons of 8. When you really think about it, the ocean is just a giant solution of sodium ions and chlorine ions and water. Now you're probably like, okay, that's cool and all, but what's that got to do with tasting salt? Well, the answer is saliva. Saliva is mostly water and a bunch of enzymes, and we know that NaCl is soluble in water. This means that all the salt in saliva will easily dissolve until the solution becomes saturated. What's more is that your taste buds need solutions to taste the flavor of solid foods, so saliva allows us to taste the saltiness from the saliva and sodium chloride solution.
Since we know now that salt always disassociates when in solution, that means the saltiness we taste actually comes from the individual ions, sodium and chlorine. Ions never tasted so good.